What's good? What's happening? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Hope. This is going to be a really, really dope class today. I was juiced about putting this class. As I was putting this class together, I was really excited because there's a lot of good nuggets in here. Again, the nuggets are simple and complex, so don't sleep on the complex and just look for the simple and don't do the reverse too, because it's on both sides of the fence. Are there any announcements? No announcements. All right, well, let's get cracking. We're going to start. Before we go into the slides, I want to talk about a couple of things. There were some questions over the weekend or some comments or some mindsets about the Culturescape. So we're going to do a quick recap about what the Culturescape actually is, what it does, what it means for you, and how to navigate through it, just to provide some clarity. So remember, the Culturescape is all the beliefs that we have that creates our reality, that we live in. So you live in a Culturescape based on your beliefs, and the system in which you live in creates your mode of operation. So we live in a Culturescape. And as you get older, the Culturescape you live in is your creation. So a lot of times, some people think learning this stuff that if I learn how to break the Culturescape and get out of the Culturescape, now I'm in this forever open field of possibilities, which is not true. You will always be in a Culturescape. You will always be in a Culturescape. You break one, you're going to be in another one. There's no way that you can get out of all Culturescapes. It's impossible. However different you think you are, or however eclectic you think you are, or this or that, or if you're in a Culturescape based on your beliefs. So the idea, the key is not necessarily to break the Culturescape, is create the Culturescape that works for you, that's most effective for you. You see what I'm saying? So, and note the key words, really understand the key words and why I use certain words, right? The cultures, you pick which Culturescape is working for you, particularly you. So your Culturescape eventually is going to revolve around your belief system. So you'll never escape, but you don't want to escape a Culturescape. We like some of the shit we do. We enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? So but just know that it's by choice. So as you're navigating through this, let's stop making this a race or a competition. This success in entrepreneurship shit is not a race or a competition against other people or other humans. This is you and you on you. You versus you. You being the best you can be. That's it. So you can relax your shoulders around everybody around you, even if they're doing better than you right now in your field. That's not your race. So you relax your shoulders and you're like, damn, what are all my beliefs that have me stuck in this Culturescape? What are some of the ones that I like? And what are some of the ones that I want to challenge that I'm conscious of? So just remember, the Culturescape that we're in will never escape all Culturescapes. Matter of fact, let me see something. If you guys read the book, or if you're reading the book, and when he talks about Culturescapes, he talks about it in this kind of framework, right? So this is you. Don't sweat my shit. It's for speed. But this is you, and this is your Culturescape. And all these things around, all these pluses and checks, are your beliefs that trap you, or the beliefs that create your world, right? There's a culturescape outside of you, but this is you, this is your beliefs, and this is what creates your culturescape. Now, as you get conscious, as you start to question the rules, all these pluses are rules that you live by, bullshit rules that you were taught and raised as a kid. Now, as you become consciously aware of these rules and you learn to challenge them, then soon you'll be deleting, erasing, deleting, erasing, deleting, erasing, deleting, erasing, right? And as you do that, your whole culturescape changes. It may look like this, but it's your culturescape that you create. And now this becomes a filter for beliefs. So just like I zoom in on this, I can zoom all the way in. When it's this big, it looks like this is your whole world. But check this out. You're just a little fish in a tiny fish bowl, and there's a whole culturescape out here. A whole culturescape out here. And so the beauty of it is now this becomes a filter for beliefs. It allows you to move through a bigger culturescape and say, do I like this belief right here? Let it move through my filter, and now I have a check and balance with beliefs that run through my filter of whether or not it works for me. And now, if yes, come on in, it's good. If no, I'll reject it. And this becomes almost like a force field for bullshit rules. But as you grow, as you continue to move, if you continue to expand as a person, the world keeps getting like this. And you'll always be moving through some sort of culturescape. If you're like, well, I'm spiritual, I only wear these kind of clothes, and I meditate and I wear these, and my hair is natural, and I don't put toxins in my body, and you're part of that culturescape. There's a million motherfuckers just like you, so stop acting brand new. Well, I'm this person. Like any ideal that you adopt that makes you think you're separate from the pack, you're in a culturescape of people just like that, and there's millions of them. It's millions of them. So we, like us as humans, we're herd animals. We're herd animals. We are all part of some tribe, aka culturescape. So remember that. The next thing is and this is going to get eradicated throughout this year, so it's not like me talking about it now is a big deal, because over the course of the year, by the end of the year, that shit's going to be out your system. I already know. However, I'm going to get it started now. In 6 months from now, it's going to be now they're going to go even harder. But for all the new students, stop blaming white people for shit. White people don't, like, there's a certain hero worship that's rooted in fear that sometimes some of us at the beginning, or that if it hasn't been uprooted from you, then there's a natural tendency, because that's been the culturescape that you've been living in, to almost have a hero worship for white folks in a way that creates blame and when shit don't go right. Things not going good in your life, or you down, or this happens or that happens. Racism, and mind you, we don't disagree. I don't disagree at all that any of those things don't exist. Systematic racism doesn't exist. Racism itself doesn't exist. Good old boy networks, this, that, the other. Not arguing whether it exists or not. But as a wolf, and as entrepreneurs, we're wolves. We're subscribing to play the wolf game. We got to take that off the table as an excuse. We got to. Who did what? Well, what did you do to mitigate that? What plan did you put in place to offset that? What strategy did you put in place to recover from that if that happened to you? How did you what route did you put in place to move around that? So that's not even an issue. Like as a wolf, and you take radical responsibility for everything that happens, then that's part of your strategy. It's part of your strategy. And that's going to continue to get drilled in you. Give a fuck about nobody, any group, person, faction, anybody that you may feel is the barrier, because a lot of times, unconsciously and subconsciously, it gives us comfort to blame somebody. It gives us comfort. I'm this because of this. And it feels good. It feels good. But as a wolf, nobody gives a fuck about your reasons, your problems, or this or that, how the feeling. My kids needed me. Man, nobody gives a shit. Your job is to get the result. Your job is to get the result. I had a friend who was a Navy SEAL, and he was on disability because he went on a mission, and they dropped him out of a helicopter into the ocean, and he fell wrong and messed his back up. Back went out. They don't stick around to make sure you're okay. None of that. Like, this is covert. You in there probably to do some damage, right? So tells a story, and I'm like, well, did you what'd you do? Did you call for like help to them to come get you or replace you with somebody else? Like, no, motherfucker, I had to finish the mission. That's our jobs as entrepreneurs. It ain't sweet like 9-to-5 jobs. It ain't sweet like school. It ain't sweet like any systems in place to coddle your feelings or to accommodate for your emotions. It's you get the job done. Military and business is pretty much the only things in pro sports. It's kind of the only things left that play in this kind of field with this kind of energy. Military, business, and pro sports. So this is an entrepreneurship class. You guys chose business. So understand that mentality. If you want to be an if you want to be an artist and get commissioned to do your work, you want to be an artist and get signed by a label that can coddle your emotions, and you can have spritzer water and blue and green Skittles in a room and all that stuff, because the reason why they accommodate you like that is because they're getting paid a shitload of money for your art. And you're getting a small percentage or you're on salary. So they don't mind accommodating you. There's 9-to-5 job, but then even within 9-to-5 jobs, if you're an employee versus a supervisor versus a manager versus a director versus the CEO of a company, that emotional shit continues to recede as you get to the top. So understand the game you playing. And the more, once you decide to take everything off the table, all excuses off the table, including the white man, you power up. You just upgraded your systems for living right there. You just upgraded your software. Because there's power in knowing that ain't nobody coming to save you. There's power in that. There's power in that. There's power in that. I don't know if you ever in life been in situations where you felt abandoned. You felt alone. You felt by yourself. You felt down. All your people disappeared. The friends you had left you because you had a downtime. And there's a mourning period, right? There's a mourning period. And there's a why God why period. There's mourning. And part of the mourning is wishing that things were the way they used to be. So it's sad. You're grasping for the past. And then you move to the why God why phase. But once you can get to the shit, that's it. Ain't nobody coming. If I'm gonna I got to do this shit. I got to make it happen. Do you remember the power, the switch, that power, the bolt of power that hit you, that allowed you to get up off your feet and get to wherever you was going? Entrepreneurs take that piece, and that's part of their daily ritual. That's inserted in them continuously. That's there. And that's where we're going with this, is that take the excuses off the table, white people included. All right. I want to talk about one more thing before we hit. Because I was thinking a lot about last week's class and this week's class. And I think some of the biggest issues that affect our culture and preventing us from making these moves in terms of questioning the rules within our culturescape, upgrading our systems, breaking free of our culture, cultural norms or bullshit cultural norms that hold us back. A lot of that comes down to approval addiction. Many of us are addicted to approval. And it starts at a young age. Approval addiction starts at a young age because that's how babies learn how to learn and learn how to behave and learn how to act. So it's part of our early nature because that's how we rapidly learn fast. We're absorbing everything: body language, movements, words, facial expressions, in order for us to learn fast. And you're looking for cues from your parents in order for you to be able to respond and move accordingly. So approval addiction, the need for approval starts young. The problem is, as we grow up to become adults, we become addicted to approval, meaning we can't move without somebody approving what we do. And now in today's time, social media makes it even worse. TikTok's made adults clowns. It's true. That's why we're moving. That's why they say that we're moving to the metaverse. Is that Instagram, TikTok, Facebook? They make billions, hundreds of billions, off of the entertainment of all humans that do it for free. They do it for free, all based on the currency of approval addiction. So they make the real currency, and users on TikTok is approval currency, likes, hearts, comments. That shows you right there how powerful approval addiction is. So here's a couple cues about approval addiction as an adult. If somebody can knock you off of your pivot in terms of you standing in your power easily, you got a problem with approval addiction. If you believe something so firm and somebody can nudge you off of that without providing any challenges that supersede the data that you have, but you just don't want to argue, or you just don't, or you just kind of like, I don't want no problems type of mentality. You seek approval because you're afraid of that person not liking you because they disagree with you. If you a chameleon, code switching chameleon, meaning every crowd you're a different person. Every crowd you're a different person. Some people are like, well, that's a superpower. No, it's not. It is not a superpower. It's you seek approval so badly, you seek approval so much that it's hard to even find who you are. And when you don't know who you are, it's hard for you to love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, it's hard for you to build anything. Because you can't build anything without a solid foundation. People got to know where you stand. People love polarizing people. That's the truth. People love to be around polarizing figures. That's how Donald Trump won the election. because they are comfortable with you loving or hating them. Because I believe in what I believe, and I believe it. I don't give a fuck what y'all think. That has a certain power and energy to it. So like Nana's the same. Nana stands on his shit. I don't give a shit. This is what I believe, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it with as much confidence as I say it. And if you don't like me, then fuck you. People like being around polarizing figures because of the respect they have for mostly their ability to not care about approval. Subconsciously, humans are fascinated by people like that because they can't understand how. How could you not be affected by what others think of you? That's amazing. Some of the biggest entertainers, the most grossing entertainers are the heel. You know what the heel is? The heel is in any kind of script. You have all these different characters, the hero, the this, that, and it's the heel. The heel is the bad guy. Bad guy. The Joker grosses damn near more than Batman. Floyd Mayweather is the highest paid boxer because his personality and attitude, and he was comfortable being hated, so people would pay to watch him, hoping he lose. I pay $50 if this dude loses, not realizing they paid him $50. Highest grossing. And in MMA right now, Kobe Covington is the biggest heel right now. Trump support, and he plays into it, and he internally even knows it's an act. But guess what? He's one of the highest, most popular MMA fighters because he's a heel. Think about that. The heel's biggest superpower is they're unaffected by the good or bad opinions of others. They thrive on it. I like it. I enjoy it. Because either way, my numbers is going up. And the more you don't like me, the more you're going to talk about me. The more you don't talk about me, the more you would pay to see me lose. Here's another one, a big one. If other people disagree with you, you get sick. If other people don't agree with you, you're on fire inside. That's a big clue that approval addiction has gotten you. It's somewhere in there. Because at some point when you get to the space to where another person disagrees and you're like, okay, I want to hear your side. Why? What causes you? Let me hear your point. You may have some data that I need, because most entrepreneurs, they're consumers. They're just consuming information, processing it, throwing what doesn't work, keeping what works, and they become bigger. Think about Pac-Man. The Pac-Man that as it's going through is getting bigger. That's all entrepreneurs do. So a true entrepreneur, man, I don't care about no disagreement. Matter of fact, it's a moment in time for me to grow. So learn to break that approval addiction, and those are some clues like, shit, all right, I have this need for approval. I need to work on this. Last one, if you never complain, meaning, not saying that complaining is good, but if you go to a hotel room and you ordered a king size bed and they gave you a small bed and your room had rats and roaches in it, and you just stayed in that motherfucker and woke up the next morning and dipped out because you didn't want to ruffle any feathers, you're suffering from approval addiction. Never stand up for yourself? Never? And then the last one, if you play small around people, You play small around people. Somebody used to tell me that, Court, you be playing small, huh? Because you don't want nobody really to see what you're capable of. You don't want nobody to not like you because they may fear that you might be better than them or bigger than them. So you like to play small. What? I don't play small. But really thinking about it, I do. Playing small is another indication of that. So how can we work on that? I see you have questions. Huh? Grab the microphone.
What you mean play small? Like, give an example. What do you mean? Are you meaning like you don't? Yeah. What do you mean? Give me an example.
All right. So here's playing small. If you're a 10 at something, you're a 10 at something. You've been working on it your whole life. You perfected that art of whatever that is, and you're a 10 at it. And you walk into a room, and it's a whole bunch of 6s at that thing. Talking about that exact same thing that you're a 10 at. And everybody's cool, and you like everybody, and they're nice, and you get along, and you have rapport. And it's time for you to show your skill level at that thing, and you show up as a 5 just because you don't want nobody to feel bad or feel outdone, or that's playing small. That's playing small. You guys know what playing small is, right? Y'all understand what playing small is?
Are we doing Q&A?
Go ahead.
Okay. I wonder, is there ever a strategy to that? I can think of times when I've done it, but I've done it intentionally because it's more important in the moment for me to get allies than to shine. And then I can shine later with the help of the allies. So I'm playing small on purpose because sometimes staying off the radar allows you to be a little bit more nimble, and you can absorb more if you just kind of fade to black until you get ready not to.
That is a beautiful excuse that a lot of us use. It's a great one. I used to use it. I absolutely used to use that word for word, but it's untrue. It's untrue. Now, of course, there's strategy in business and in working relations with people, but when the spotlight's on you and you specifically decide to play small, that's insecurity, that's a fear, and that's approval addiction. It's a fear.
Online, they wanted you to explain the difference between playing small and being humble.
Thank you, online.
That's the major question.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You got to talk on the mic, Tone. We bought a new mic just for you so you don't break it.
I'm trying to play small. You know what I'm saying?
You don't have that problem. So, being humble and playing small, two different things. Humility says, I'm never going to get there. I'm always working. And wherever I am in life right now, there's a higher level. There's more. There's a bigger place to go. There's more to expand to. So I'm humbled by my journey. So moving with humility and humble energy means any touchdown that I get, I'm going to act like I've been here before, because I know that this is just one small step. Any win that I get, I know that you're only as big as your last hit. So I don't get overexcited, and I don't treat people different because I'm winning in the moment. Humility is a composition. Humility is a chemical color. Humility is a color that you have based on your belief system. It's not a word that you say, but people can see it or they can hear it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that you're not confident. You can be confident and humble. But humility, the beautiful thing about humility is it prevents contentment. It prevents you from being content with where you are. It prevents you from being foolhardy and treating people like they're less than or lower than. Humility is a mentality. You know what I'm saying? So if you walk in a room and you see the janitor and y'all give each other hugs and dap each other up like you ain't, like that's your homie, and like, man, how you been? How's the wife? How's your family? And you go to the CEO and do the same thing with him with that same energy, you're a humble cat. You're a humble person because you move with humility. Playing small is when the spotlight's on you, do you shrink or do you be the fullest expression of yourself in the moment? Are you the fullest expression of yourself in the moment?
Hey, Court, do you think that people can see that playing small and complaining about being invisible is the same thing?
Absolutely. Because just like that Culturescape example where I created that circle and it was you, your Culturescape is created by your what? Beliefs, right? So if you have a belief, like what Kaja said, if that belief is in your Culturescape, then guess what your bubble does? And you keep believing that, and you keep affirming that, and you keep believing it, and affirming it, believing it, and guess what you do? You fucking disappear. No one sees you anymore. And then you're upset because no one sees you. But you're invisible by your own beliefs. Ooh, shit. Man, good night, y'all. It's the truth. It's the truth. That's how it happens. Because you are what you practice, right? You are what you practice. You become what you practice. You become a physical manifestation of what you eat, right? You become a physical manifestation of the weights that you lift, you work out, you become a physical manifestation of it. Same thing with the mental beliefs about playing big, playing small. You play big, guess who you attract? Other people who play big. You be the fullest expression of yourself, guess who you attract? Other people who are like that. You attract them. You signal to each other. Man, hey, I need your number at the end of this. You know, in the wild, predator animals, they can smell fear. They can smell it. It has a scent. Damn, just think about that for a second. Now, we're animals too. So you have wolves and sheep and everybody in the middle. Don't you think that fear can be sensed too? So if somebody can sense that fear in you and you want to play on their level, they ain't gonna fuck with you. Because you practice playing small. So that means if you practice playing small, when the spotlight's on you, you're gonna fumble the ball every time. When my son played basketball, I wanted to prepare him to be in the spotlight. So when it was time to practice free throws at the end of our hoop session, I'd be in his ear. You trash, you weak, you gonna miss, you trash, you weak, you gonna miss. Because I wanted him to get comfortable. And he'd make 10 free throws in a row. And then I'd get in his ear and he'd miss 10 in a row. Right? So, but over time, he learned to drown that out, push me away. We would do the 5-4-3-2-1 drill. 5-4-3-2-1 drill is an amazing drill because what it is I can tell my son, hey, go right there and hit the shot. He'd knock it down 3 times in a row. But if I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that added pressure, there's no crowd, there's no game, there's no scoreboard, but just by repeating those numbers in reverse, it added a sense of pressure, and he'd miss. So then we added that to practice too, to where once he start hitting them, he'd celebrate like he was really in the game, so it prepared him for big moments. You got to practice for the moments you want to be in. You got to. So if you practice playing small, and you justify it by saying, well, it's for strategic reasons, then in moments where the spotlight's on you, somebody comes up to you with the mic and be like, go, you're going to freeze. You're going to freeze. You're going to fight, you're going to run, or you're going to freeze, whichever one of the three that you typically do. So do not practice playing small. There's other strategies out there. You know what I'm saying? That's like, there's 17 strategies out there, and one of the 17 is playing small for strategic reasons. And there's 16 others where you don't got to do that shit. Fuck that. Hell no. Because that's going to set me up for failure in the future. What'd you say? No, that's my baby. All right. Let's talk about the Code of Extraordinary Minds. Let's get started. Any other questions before we get started on that? Because that's a very important one. Those are some of the keys that can open you up to really absorb this material. And taking a clear look at yourself. Once you start opening yourself up, then this material is now it can sink through and it can really process different. So, conscious engineering. Conscious engineering works best when applied in a holistic way across our lives. In order to do that, we need to understand two things. First, we need to identify the key areas of our lives where we can apply conscious engineering. And second, we need to pinpoint which of those areas could use some rebalancing. So, the concept of conscious engineering is when you look at your life in that technical of a fashion, it allows you to make micro observations as well as micro adjustments. And because we're 3 degrees from everything, you'll be surprised the effect and the changes that can happen in your life when you make those micro adjustments. Now you become an engineer to your own life. Basically, conscious engineering means you are now an engineer of yourself. So you become an engineer to Tone Vic. See what I'm saying? Kaja now, you become Kaja's engineer, meaning Kaja's the machine and you're the engineer to the machine, which means you're observing, you're maintaining it, you're looking for deficiencies, you're looking for upgrades, you're watching it, you see how effective it is, you're looking at the output, you're looking at the input, you're being conscious of everything. I was an engineer before at Intel, and that's all we do. Here's the machines that I own. These motherfuckers got to run optimally. You got to maintain them. They need routine maintenance. They need weeklies, monthlies, semi-annuals, and annual maintenance. And that's A. And then if shit breaks down, it has to be fixed. Or if the company says, hey, we're making faster chips, so all the machines have to be tweaked in order to accommodate faster chips, then we have to figure out how to do that. And every year, they were trying to make faster chips. I was there when I started, it was the 386, and then the 486 chip, and then it went to Pentium 1, then Pentium 2, and They don't care. They don't care. Next year we gotta do Pentium 3, so you better figure it out. So even if Pentium 1 is shits right now, y'all better figure it out, or we gonna hire somebody who can. You become the engineer to you, and that's how you become powerful. So first, you need to identify the key areas of your life where you need to apply conscious engineering. And second, you need to pinpoint which of those areas could use some rebalancing. So now it's time to get data on yourself. Identify key areas in your life which needs rebalancing. Now it's time to collect data on yourself. Us humans know how to collect data on ourselves. We hella good at doing it for other people. We talk shit about people. We analyze people. We judge. We're good at that game. Now it's time to bring all that to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Stop bullshitting yourself, because it only hurts you. Shakina, you want to help me read? Okay.
But I'm gonna need somebody to send it. That's hella tiny.
I'll read this one.
Okay.
In order to improve key areas of your life, you need clarity and data on where you are. That's what I basically just said. Now, the thing about this is, it's such an easy concept. It's such a simple concept. Such a simple concept, but it's so hard for most of us to do. Think about it. Why do you think it's so hard for us to get clarity on and data on where we are? To keep it real with ourselves. A lot of times throughout our lives, we've been playing this dog game with ourselves. We've been babying ourselves. We've been patronizing ourselves. We've been doing all sorts of things that make us feel good in the moment, and we push away the truth to where it damn near doesn't exist. 2021, you can live in a whole world now without accessing the truth. Soon, you're going to live in a whole ass metaverse. You can live in a whole metaverse that's not even you physically.
So let me interrupt you real quick. So you bring up a good point, and sorry, everybody, for asking all the questions. It's been a while. Okay, so, and I'm glad you're bringing this up, because what I'm realizing is, and try to follow me here, don't take it the wrong way, but what is the truth nowadays? Because in order to get that data on our lives, or I'll speak for myself, I'd either have to get that from my Culturescape, other resources, other people, or other things. And how do we know how to use that data for ourselves in a truthful manner? Because anything can be true nowadays. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know what I'm trying to say, but like you triggered something when you said it, because it's like, what is true, and how do we get that data on ourselves to be truthful with ourselves unless we get it from other people? Like if I come to your office and I sit with you and I talk to you, then I get truth about myself. You might be like, hey, Tone, haven't seen you in the gym lately, bro. You know, you're losing weight, you're gaining weight. It's like, oh, now I'm getting the truth about myself. Like, yeah, you're right. I haven't been in the gym lately. I may be gaining weight. So I'm using that data for myself to be like, damn, Court's right. But imagine if I didn't come, right? I didn't come to your office, or I didn't go to see Shakina. I wouldn't be able to get those data points. I'd only have the data points that I tell myself. And I could be lying to myself like, I walk 2 miles every day, I'm cool. When really it's like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, Shakina,
I do know what you're trying to
see what
say.
I'm trying to say?
I do.
Basically, you need other people to give you those data points, right?
That's a belief you have. That's a belief you have.
Can I add on to that?
Go ahead.
I think it first starts with like introspection of like, okay, how do I show up to myself my real self, not my projected self, not who I want to be, not who I think people want me to be, but like, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? How are my actions aligning with where I want to get to? And then once I have an honest conversation with myself, then I'm going to go and talk to my peers that can see my blind spots, that can tell me how to use the data to apply it so that I get the desired result.
Yeah, and here's more. There's two types of truth, and we're going to talk about it more later down in the slides, but I'm going to touch on a little bit of it now. Two types of truth. There's absolute truth, relative truth. So every truth that you have goes in only one or two of these buckets, right? Absolute truth is easy because it's universal across everywhere you go. This train is just driving past me right now. That's absolute truth. Everyone's perception agrees with that. That's absolute truth. The absolute truth is there's a track underneath that train. I bet you $1,000, $100,000, $10 million that's a track that train is on that just passed me. That's absolute truth. Your results is absolute truth. I spent $100 on ads. I have 100 shirts that I'm trying to sell, and I sold 4 shirts. And I made $80. That is a truth if you're looking at the numbers, right? That's truth. My back hurts currently. My health, here's my cholesterol, here's my there's pre-diabetes. The doctor said I'm pre-diabetic. Here's all the symptoms. Here's all the issues that's going on with my body. That's current absolute truth, because that is the results of how you treat your body. Now, your relative truth can be, I'm just big-boned. I'm big-boned. Big people running my family. I got slow metabolism. That's all your relative truth. Absolute truth is you looking at numbers, data, results, this, that. And that shit don't lie and don't care about your feelings. The absolute truth, the relative truth that we've had in our family for years is that we were part Cherokee Indian. Fucking Cherokee Indian. So all the Indian movies we watched as a kid, I'm part that. Guess what came? What invention came later on? Ancestry.com, where you can pluck a hair, do something, and send it back to them, and they tell you where you're from. I took this to my mom. Mom, we are not Cherokee Indian. She's like, that's wrong. Because she's decided to stick with her relative truth in her mind because that's what she's been rocking with. But absolute truth says no. It actually says we're not feather Indian, we the red dot. We got red dot Indians in our blood, not the other. She refuses because she decides this is my culturescape. It works for me, and I'm sticking with it. I don't care what you say. But, Mom, they're doctors, they're scientists. They literally tell you, no, they're wrong. So you get my point? So, and guess what? I'm not saying either one is wrong, but it's up to you to know which one it is. And they have to work for you. They got to work for you, meaning they got to deliver you the results that you want. That's it. Not the results that somebody else wants for you. Not the results that, they got to deliver the results that you want. Because success is relative too. So we were talking about, me and Nana was talking about bubbles last night. So success is all relative to the bubble that you're in. And there's nothing wrong with it. So if you feel successful, that's dope. That's a win. That's good. You may be making $30K a year, but you feel successful. That's great. Now, the minute somebody comes and pops that bubble and be like, damn, you're making $30K? Hey, give me a call. Now you're like, oh, shit. Now you just exposed me to a bigger bubble. Now you can choose to say, I'm happy. I'm still happy and I feel successful. Right now, I feel I'm successful. Or you can decide to play a bigger game, but it's on you. You can, I'm not judging this one's better than the other. The judgment is based on if it's working for you. Keto diet, vegetarian, vegan, which one's better? Intermittent fasting, which one's better? All fucking relative. It's the one that works. If you swear by keto and you look like The Rock, then damn, that works for you. But there's other people who swears by keto and don't look like The Rock. You feel me? So it's not for them. It may be for them to try something different. So their truths are going to be different. However, the absolute truth is the data. It can't be changed. Can't be skewed. The observer can't change it. The observer cannot change it. Yesterday, the revenue that you all made yesterday, that's absolute. It can't be changed.
Court, we have a great question online. It says, how can you get this truth in all these things when you're self-employed?
How can we get these truths when you're self-employed? So, again, the muscle you have to build is introspection muscle. Is to like we said last week, you have to get a good relationship with the truth, absolute and relative truth. You have to get comfortable with feedback. You got to get comfortable looking at your numbers. You got to get comfortable looking at your bank account. There's some entrepreneurs that don't look at their bank account because they want to magically ignore it because in those weeks, maybe God or somebody, a leprechaun, is going to deposit money secretly in their account. So then when you check it, it's bigger than it was. Not realizing that absolute truth, once you get congruent, that's a word you got to write down. Getting congruent. So absolute truth creates congruence. Congruence creates a separation between where you are now and where you want to be and a path. Your brain now has a place to go. It's like, oh shit, there's only this much money in my account. There's $4. Shit. Okay, I gotta get. Now you're making phone calls. That's what happens when you have a good relationship with absolute truth. I'm not saying that miracles can't happen. There's not magic. There's not God. There's not none of that stuff. But guess what? If you operate with absolute truth and relative truth, all those miracles are just icing on your cake. You're not relying on them. I know some people who just operate in the miracles. And that's not a intelligent business model. It's not an intelligent business model. So if you work for it doesn't matter if you work for yourself, you're an entrepreneur, you got 10 employees, you got 100 employees, or you're operating at a high level with a 9-to-5. The more powerful you are is in a direct connection to your relationship with the truth. Now, here's one thing though. As you get more and more strong in this regard, it's going to be hard to talk to random people. People are going to be like, hey, what do you think about this? It's going to be harder and harder for you not to give them the real. They may be hurt by you. They may be crying. You may hurt their feelings. And you don't even understand what you did. Matter of fact, in your mind, you thought you were helping them. You thought you were giving them the most gain that you can ever give them. You was pouring out your heart to them, and because of their approval addiction, all they were thinking about is rejection. You hurt my feelings. You popped my bubble. It's not fair.
I was going to say that's a bar. It's the feedback. That's what I think I was trying to get to. And I'm glad you said it. And if you don't mind, just if you can just lace us with how important the feedback loop is, because I think this is what I was trying to get to. In order to improve the areas of your life, you need clarity and data on where you are, right? And so what I was trying to say, and I'm glad Nada brought that up, is in order to get those things, you have to get feedback from other people. So even if you are self-employed, in order for me to improve, if I'm self-employed, in order for me to improve the areas in my life that I may feel need improvement, I need to get feedback from customers. I need to get feedback from I need to get feedback from the outside world.
Yeah, you also need to get not just people feedback, but bank feedback.
Yes. So yes.
No, facts,
so,
yeah.
so my point is that is the second phase. The feedback is a second phase. You cannot really glean or improve from or extract from any of that feedback if you first do not form a relationship with absolute truth and relative truth. That shit stops working. It doesn't even work. If you don't have a relationship with truth first, you can get feedback all day and you don't apply it. You don't use it. You don't, like, you're a different Tone Vic than the Tone Vic that I first met. Completely different. The first Tone Vic, we meet all the time, and I tell you the same shit over and over and over again. And you argue with it every time. Because first, your relationship with truth, relationship with the real, skewed. It's off. So whatever I give you, it's coming in not as, like when it's coming in hot, you're not looking for, okay, what's the nugget that I can extract from this to apply in my life? It's coming in as, I want this person to validate me. I want this person to make me feel good. I want whatever he says to validate a portion of him. Like, I'm asking him, but a portion of me wants to feel validated. Once you get over that, you almost become like, what do you call them? A sadistic. Like, no, give it to me. Hurt me, motherfucker. I want it. I want it. I want it. I want the real. Masochist. I want the real. I want the raw. I want the truth. Like, me and Nana talk, that's how we get down. And you know, it's quick, it's easy, it's fun, it's grateful. Man, at the end of the conversation, I appreciate you, bro. Love you, bro. Thank you. You know why? Because you got to the heart. You went straight in. So the feedback loop is phase two of, like, if you're stuck at approval addiction, a customer tells you that your product sucks, what happens? What do you say, Tone Vic? What happens? If a customer was unhappy with your product or service, but you're still stuck on approval addiction, you won't have a good relationship with absolute relative truth, then what's your response in that regard? They hating. Other people like my shit. They didn't, my auntie said it was dope. Like, you come up with hell of reasons to validate or to deflate their feedback.
Our models of reality lie below the surface. Often, we do not realize we have them until some intervention or contemplative practice makes us aware.
Yes. Man, this is nuggets game right here. So, absolute truth is happening around you whether you want it to or not. If you're abusing your body, you can fake like you're not all day, but your body's going to react. It's the truth, absolute truth. So a lot of times when we live in this relative reality space and it's not healthy for us, and we create these stories, beliefs, or narratives that have us living in these fantasy worlds that don't serve us, typically the times that really get us out of those is an event that happens. something happens. You just going about your day, and then you see a picture of yourself from somebody else. You like, what the fuck happened? Who is that? I look at myself in the mirror every day. What the fuck? Like, what's happening? That's you. But I don't know what it is. All the other times, it's this particular picture that has to happen to just be right outside your Culturescape, just sitting there, and you're like, that ain't me. And then guess what happens? You get all the motivation and inspiration you need to go hard. And you go at it. That's absolute truth. That's absolute truth. There was times like I told you, I've been a millionaire twice, right? So the first time, my God, like I was on some stupid shit. And my ego was so inflated. That my company was sinking, and my nose was in the air. No, I'm good. And all the signs, all the people, everybody around me, and I was like, fuck y'all, you don't know me, I built this shit, I did this on my own, you know, like you ain't did, like I was on some egoic bullshit, and the reality that I created in my head, it was disserving me. And it wasn't until the crash. But guess what? For me, I had such a hard head and such a big ego that it wasn't even the crash for me. Wasn't even a crash. I can bounce back. I could do it. It wasn't the crash that really that turned me. It was losing the family that turned me. It wasn't the money. It was because I was just still in my ego. I told you guys a few times, I didn't have a car, and my homie tried to get me a car. And he was like, I got a car for you. I got you, bro. I'm going to take care. I got you, bro. You my homie. I got an SUV for you. You know what I said? What kind? What kind? Because I only drive BMWs, you feel me? Like, you drive the Blackfoot Express right now. But in my brain, I was still stuck in my relative truth based on what I accomplished before, and I still hadn't popped. The event hadn't popped. It wasn't until the family, like that's what everything collapsed. And that's when I was able to see myself completely honest and clear and where I was and what I was doing. And I'm like, oh my God, like, who is this dude? And I remember I went to my mom's house one day, and she was like, you look homeless. She's like, what's wrong with you? In my brain, I'm fine. She said, pretty much the last good advice she gave me. She was like, if you lose it mentally, nobody's gonna care about you. They're just gonna step over you, and you're gonna just be another homeless random bum on the street. Get yourself together. Go take a shower. Go get a haircut. Just start with that. I couldn't see it. But I was like, damn, everybody around me is trying to tell me this? Because they're looking at absolute truth. I'm still in relative truth. Once I popped it, I could see what they see. And now you have a foundation to start on. Now, like I said, absolute truth, relative truth, you can dance on both sides of the fence, but you always have to have a good relationship with reality. It's almost like home base. Let me touch this. Okay, what's real? All right, cool. Let me go back. That's how you play this game. Any? Let's keep going.
What you know, you believe, and what you don't know, you believe.
Okay, so here's the big one. Here's the big one. Now, once you get on this journey, it becomes fun because you get to tear away all these limiting beliefs that's been hurting you, that's been holding you back, that's been limiting you from being your best version of yourself. I'm not saying those are easy to break, but at least you can see them. At least they're visible to you. You know them. You know what they are. The tougher ones, the ones that may take longer, even years, is the stuff the beliefs you have that you don't know you believe. 0 to 5 are very formidable years. Those are years that you're brought up into this world, and your level of observation and mimicking is on 100 because you're the beginning of yourself. So there may be lots and lots and lots of beliefs that you adopted in those years. You don't remember when you was 2. You can't be like, oh, my mom did say that when I was 3 years old, or I learned that from my preschool teacher. You don't know. Those are the more challenging ones. But the first thing is to know that they're there. It's beliefs that you know, and it's beliefs that you don't know that you have. Go after the ones you know first. That's your low-hanging fruit. You're going to get massive amount of change in your life just going after those. Massive. Massive. I'm telling you. I was telling the story at the office yesterday. Motherfuckers couldn't even believe it because we were talking about one of our guys got his windows bipped, right? Somebody took his bag or whatever. And we were talking about when I was younger in high school and all the shit I used to do. And I was like, damn, like, my high school years, man, I didn't give a fuck about anything that wasn't glued to the ground. Like, I was taking that shit. And we were all laughing about it. And the amount of growth that has taken place between those times and now, it came from this process. The human that I was when I first started this growth process was full of junk. Full of junk. And guess what I did? I did the same thing. I wrote down all these limiting beliefs. Wrote them down. I spent time just writing down. You might think, well, how do you know? Stop thinking so much. Write down, just write it down. And so I would attack them one at a time. Cross it out. Change my belief. Next one. What is this? Change it. Next one. And I would just systematically, methodically working on every belief that I didn't believe in, something I knew was limiting me, I started attacking it. And in a short amount of time, my situation changed. My money changed. I was working a 9-to-5, and I wanted to start my own business. And my commute partners, I commuted with some folks. We lived in the same neighborhood, and we worked in Silicon Valley too. So we commuted together. So I'm like, yo, I'm quitting this shit. And he was like, all right, cool. He's like, here's a gift, your going away gift. He gave me a hard drive full of books, audio books, regular books, online, seminar, the whole shit. Probably like 200 different books. So I started listening to him, and I came across one that's very similar to this book, Code of Extraordinary Mind. And it got to the part where you got to challenge your beliefs, everything that you grew up with. And I can see the literal changes in my life as I challenge beliefs. Literal, as you cross them off. I can literally see those changes. And so that first hype cycle that I hit in business, most of that came from dislodging a lot of those beliefs and fears and things that I grew up learning and doing and justifying. So this is real shit. And if you really dove in and applied and tried, it'll change your life.
I just wanted to share a little short story. So a few classes back, you had said that you had asked a question to the class, and you said, who do you have to become to live the life that you want to live? And that has been like in my brain every single day when I wake up, when I go to bed, like in the conversations I'm having with my daughter, going out with girlfriends this weekend, like that's been in the forefront of my mind. And like in just from the time that you asked that a few weeks ago till today, like just massive amounts of changes, because my brain is consciously focusing on what am I doing and how am I showing up to get what I want to, because my brain is then unconsciously realigning myself to get the desired thing. But that question is like the first thing and the last thing that I think about. And so that was a gift, and I just goes to say that it hella works. Thank you.
Yeah, that's dope. It's real. Like I said, simple and complex. Some of the biggest changes you can make can come from some of the simplest things you can do. Simple. So super simple, easy. That's why it's a process. It's a business process. So you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't got to be the smartest person. You just have to be willing to upgrade your software constantly. A few classes back, I don't know if this year or last year, Nana talked about compound interest. One of ninth wonders of the world, compound interest, right? Compound interest is also can be applied to knowledge and learning. So if you are quote unquote not that smart, you're the equivalent of a penny intellectually. You're the equivalent of a penny intellectually. If you double, so if I say, hey, let's play a round of golf, 18 rounds of golf, and start with 10 cents. And if I win, I get 10 cents, you win, you get 10 cents, and we just double it every hole, 18 holes. Your brain can't wrap around what compound interest really is. Because if you compound knowledge, it does the same thing with compounding money. 10 cents, second hole goes to 20 cents. Well, if I lose, I ain't tripping off that. Third hole goes to 40 cents. Who gives a shit about 40 cents? Fourth hole goes to 80 cents. I can lose 80 cents if I lose. Fifth hole goes to $1.60. That's still little money. Sixth hole goes to $3.20. You have 12 holes to go. It ain't far, and you only at $3.20. But if you keep doubling, by the time you get to the 18th hole, you're at millions. You're at almost $1 million. That's the power of compound interest. So I say that to say, you use that same compounding effect with knowledge. That's why I don't mind being the dumbest person in the room. I'm literally a poster boy for that shit. I was an ESL class. I speak a decent Spanish because for 3 years, I was me and Mexican folks. So my Spanish is not bad to this day. But guess what? It don't matter. If I'm a penny, it doesn't matter as long as I'm compounding my knowledge. I don't care. I'm reading this book, reading that. You still ain't doing shit. It's all right. I'm reading and trying. There's a concept called ready, fire, aim. Ready, fire, aim. Should write this down. Ready, fire, aim. So ready, fire, aim is upon the same principles of compounding. What that means is the old ideals of ready, aim, fire means you get ready, you aim, and you fire. In entrepreneurship, a lot of times with cognitive distortions, perfection mindset, approval addiction, low self-esteem, insecurities, you get stuck at the aim and you never fire. because you're perfecting and you're doing it and you justifying why you haven't started yet, and you did, and it'd be years. Because in your brain, you could justify anything. So you're justifying why you waited. Well, when did you come up with the idea? 2003? When did you get to the starting line? 2007? It's 2022. How come you ain't started yet? Because I'm perfecting it. Man, ain't nobody even really wearing do-rags like that no more. The wave is over. Now you lost it. So a lot of times we get caught in the ready, fire, aim. Entrepreneurs do not do that. Most people get caught in the ready, aim, fire. Entrepreneurs, we ready, fire, aim. Meaning you get ready, you get ready as much as you can. You fire, boom. Am I off? I aim again. Now I'm ready again. Fire, boom. How close? Oh, I got a little closer. All right, let me tweak it. So then it may took me 5 shots to get the target, but you never pressed the trigger one time. It's real.
I was just saying, you also learn from the process of recalibration.
Exactly. So most people, they take for granted, they forget about the lesson you learn after you fire. Like, especially us as black people, we're kinesthetic. We can dance. We got rhythm. You feel me? Like black folk, people of color, we got rhythm. You cannot put rhythm on a spreadsheet. You can't. You feel that shit. You go, and then, like, even if the music come on, you may be off a little bit before a second. Boom, once you hit it, it's done. You in there. You can't train. You can't. A lot of the stuff in entrepreneurship is kinesthetic like that. You can't speak to it. You just do it. And if you overanalyze with those insecurities, that fear, you lose out on that, and that's precious. That's precious. Next slide.
Subconscious beliefs are the root of all blind spot stagnation.
Okay, so say you going for it. This is for the people who goes for it. Meaning, from the previous slide, you going after your limiting beliefs, you chopping them down. You going after it. You going after it, and you look around in your Culturescape, and you see nothing. And you're like, okay, dope. I got better. My life is better. I'm happier. I'm in a better relationship. My money is better. My bank account's better. But it's not where I want it to be all the way. I'm still not there. I haven't hit my goals yet. I'm like way farther than where I started, but I don't see nothing else to chop down. I don't see any bruise. I don't see any. Those are subconscious. Those are subconscious. Those are in your blind spots. Those are in your blind spots. And I'm going to speak to it some more. Which means you can't necessarily see them because they're in your subconscious, which means they were embedded in you when you were younger, when you were a kid, or you just create a belief quick in a certain moment, and it's down there. It's down there. A person who says, I'm not racist, that happens a lot in those situations where they're like, that's not me. I'm not racist. I'm not a racist person. But you clearly on tape doing some racist shit, right? Because in their mind, they're really not. They're really, and they're probably not on the surface. But then there's subconscious beliefs down there that when triggered or an event pop up. Straight up. I know we're in 2022, and I love all people, but did I have to work on being homophobic? Hell yeah. Because consciously, I love all people, but subconsciously, my mom was super Christian, and that was bad. So I've had to work through years to say, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Nope, nope, nope. I don't believe that. I don't agree with that. That's not my thing. That's her belief. It's not mine. I had to work through that to where I can slowly start feeling myself unraveling that. But that takes years. And how do you get there? Same way, is that when things start opening up and I start being around people of different gender types and I was uncomfortable, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I uncomfortable? That must be something that's buried down there. Because consciously, I'm good. Like, I love all people. But if you get a feeling, an uncomfortable feeling, that means you got a subconscious belief that's buried down there that you have to cough up. Where did this come from? Oh, okay. That was my mom's shit. So those will continue to leave you stagnant if you, like, again, you work backwards. How you help. So there's no way that you can even defeat any of these if you're not in a constant state of being observant. You got to take that heightened sense of awareness that you have from growing up in the hood. Oh, look, the temperature just changed. Something's about to happen. That shit, because you grew up wherever you grew up, take that heightened sense of awareness and you use that everywhere in life now. You use that on yourself. Turn that inward. Why did I just feel that tinge of jealousy when, Let me think about that. Wait a minute. I just got a little bit jealous. It's a conversation you're having with yourself. Or this person just walked into the room and now I got irritated, or I felt the need to posture, or I felt the need to woke up, or I felt the need to play small. Or I just start acting funny. What is that? If you turn that inward, that's how you uncover these and that's how you break them. Learn to have, like, the key to this is learning to have dialogue with yourself.
So when I first saw this slide, it made me think of something very specific. So, you know how, like, you start off with an idea and then you decide you're gonna, like, leave your job and you're gonna do your own thing. And through every stage of, like, from idea to development to creating a product to creating a business to the stages, this slide popped up because it makes me think of that stagnation period that happens before every climb. And my question is, do you think that we develop more blind spots and, like, settle into stagnation because of fear of what the next level is? Like, does our subconscious unintentionally sabotage us and keep us in stagnation as we're climbing and jumping from level to level?
Well, you touched on almost three different things, right? So, yeah. So one is self-sabotage, which is a real thing. Second is fear, which is also a real thing. And then the third one is ignorance, right? Meaning there's certain set points that we have within us that, based on our beliefs and the stories that are in our head, that we will at times sabotage our own progress based on those set points, subconscious set points. If you grew up with the idea that having a little bit of money is cool, but rich people, if you grew up in a household where people always demonized rich people, then subconsciously, as you're thriving, consciously, you want to get there. But subconsciously, you're like, ooh, so if I do that, then I become one of those rich people that my mom and everybody around me talk shit about. And if you have approval addiction, again, there it is. It's going to come up through the whole shit, meaning you overly care about what people think or just care, period, about what people think, then that's going to tie you to at times, sabotage your own success. Point blank, period. And then you have fear. Fear of the unknown is a big thing. That's why a lot of times, a lot of us will go back to a fucked up relationship, then find a new one. Because it's much easier to deal with the devil that you know than the devil that you don't. Not realizing that that is a systematic belief that you have in your head, and you ain't even got to deal with no devils.
Hey, last night when I reached out to you, wouldn't this be another example of the thing that people don't control, which is the upper limits, the how we're born into upper limits, which is how, like you're born in families that actually set a standard in your brain of how far you can go or who you can be. And so it becomes your upper limit. And so then that's a huge distortion in itself.
Absolutely. So that goes to that point, is that based on your beliefs and your upbringing and whatever was fed to you, it creates limits around you, right? That's too far. That's not far enough. Like so then you grow up, and if you grew up in a household where your mom was a little bit liberal, and when you were 14, 13, 12, she let you wear lipstick, and you let you wear dresses a little tighter, skirts a little higher, then as an adult, you ain't really tripping about that shit. But if you were raised in a household where there was super conservative and your dresses had to be down to your ankles and you couldn't show no cleavage and you couldn't wear lipstick, have a boyfriend till you was 20, then as oppressed as you might have felt during those times, when you become an adult and you see a young girl in an outfit that you may deem a little more risque than normal, you're going to say some shit. Girl, who let her mama let her out the house like that? Even though you feel it different, because that's your set point. Same with money, same with relationships, same with everything. That's the book we have. It's a written book in your family. You can break those set points. You can break them. You just have to consciously break them. And most of us are unconscious right now. If you're bumping up against a number, you have a set point. That's your upper limit. If you're making the same exact amount every year and you've been trying hella hard to make more, you're bumping up against a limit. There's a set point there that you have to break. You got to break that shit. You got to find out, what is it? You got to work through it. I say this. Someone gave me game a long time ago in this regard. Like, you see homeless people outside talking to themselves, screaming at themselves, cussing themselves, or having a good conversation, a good old time, whatever. You got to be like that in your head. Because there's a very thin line between them and somebody who's really going after it. Man, I fucked up. Shut up. Okay, no, okay, don't chill out. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be like, you gotta, when you fully involve yourself with yourself and you love yourself, you become an experience. That's why I'm like, what's competition? Who gives a shit about competing? Because once you play the game with you on you, you're too busy playing with yourself. Tone said pause. Look me in my eyes and say you don't play with yourself sometimes. Exactly. There's absolute reality and there's relative reality. And right now, you bullshitting. All right, let us move on.
Pause.
He tried to pause me. All right, let's move on to the next.
You go, piece of work, Court. When you replace disempowering models of reality with empowering ones, tremendous changes can occur in your life at a very rapid pace.
Yo, I really hope you realize the power of this. This is life-changing stuff. It's simple. But it's life-changing stuff. Like, Nana has the ability to think at levels that I can't even think on sometimes. his brain goes in places I can't even go. But the fortunate part about success in business is that, like, if you embraced all the simple shit, like, your life will go crazy. Your life will change. It'll be a movie. It'll be a movie. And so I hope you guys see the power of this, just replacing beliefs with more empowering beliefs. It's simple. I remember the most I ever made was $100K a year. 36 was my first year's salary in the 9 to 5 in 1995. I was balling. 36K. 36K a year. They opened up some overtime. I got to go to 40. I got a promotion. 45. Got another promotion, 50. I got 60 mark. I got 60K a year. I'm really doing it at 60K. I decide I'm going to apply for another job inside of Intel. I got my bearings. I'm going to apply for a manager's position. Boom, I go there. I get a raise and some stock options, 80K. I'm up at 100K now. I did it. In my brain, I swear I did it. 100K a year as a black man with no degree from the hood? What? I made it. Think about that. That was my Culturescape. And guess what? My Culturescape validated it because everybody around me that I grew up with, I was the highest grossing person in our group, besides one person who was a firefighter in my clique. Right? So the validation is there. So 100K ain't shit. Right? In relative form, but in my brain, we good. Now, this is why I tell you this story. Is because once I started reading books like this, and it taught me how to take my beliefs and crush beliefs that weren't serving me and create new beliefs in my brain. I quit my job in 2003. In 3 years, I was a millionaire. That's history. That can't be 3 years. But I'm reading every single day and going after it. Now, here's a scarcity. Here's a tension. Here's a scarcity. My wife at the time says, hell no on this quitting job shit. We're not doing that. We've had a good, steady little life. We're not doing a job quitting. So after a bit of negotiation, I said, look, here's a deal. Give me 1 year. Give me 1 year. And if we up, let me do my thing. If we down, I'll go back to that raggedy ass job. They gave me a lifetime pass to come back. We can go back to that life. The house that we owned, we rented it out so that I can easily move back in. Sorry, the train. We rented it out. I can move back in. We can insert ourselves back into that shit. But give me 1 year. Guess what I did every day that year? I read voraciously. I went hard, and I applied everything that I read. Did all of it work? No. But I had scarcity. I had a reason. I had the reason for it to work. I had a reason for me to dislodge belief. So when it said to do it, I did it. And when it said, this is why you're broke, and this is how you can dislodge, I listened and I did it. I applied it. I applied it. I applied it. Now, at the end of that first year, it wasn't like I hit it big, but we were up, even if it was slightly, to show, man, there's some progress here. So I won this bet. I can keep doing what I'm doing. But that's the point. You got to do this shit like your life depends on it. And if you don't, here's the deal. Because your life does. You got to do this shit like your life depends on it, because your life does. What kind of life do you want to live? I don't want, like, I wanted to kill myself at that fucking job. God brought me some signs too. One sign was, it was a brother that worked there who looked like an old version of me. He looked like an old version of me. So he took a liking to me because I was like a young version of him. And he had been there already like 20 years. And he was like, brother, you got to slow down. Let me show you how to survive like me. I've been here 20 years. Like you can't be ruffling no feathers. And he just sounded like a runaway slave. Come on, don't be doing, just almost like if you hide in this corner and really don't let nobody see you and don't shine and don't outshine any of them white people and just stay kind of quiet, you survive like me. Like, where's my letter of resignation? Let me get the fuck up out of here. I don't want to be you. I want to live life to the fullest. And so that's what I implore, like every single one of you watching this, you are sacrificing time away from something. Your family, the most precious assets that you have, your family, your loved ones, or just time to relax. Why do you do that to come to this class and listen? Because you want more than you currently have. You want to live a bigger life than where you currently are. And you can. But ain't nobody going to hand it to you. You got to go after that shit. You got to go after it like your life depends on it. I forget which book. I can't even remember the book that I had one time. In that sequence of books that I read when I was going hard, it was saying, can you generate $1 million in 12 months? So the time's like, no, I can't even think about it. Like, I'm not there. It's not even a thought in my head at the time of reading it. And it said, if I kidnapped your family, can you generate $1 million in a year? And said, all of a sudden, just in that snap of a moment, I was able to do it. Hell yeah, I can't remember. Think about that. You see how you snapped? Why do you need the threat? You move with that same energy. I move with that energy. Nana moves with that energy. Entrepreneurs move with that energy. There's not the fear, but you move with that energy.
So I have a combination of hella different clients, from business owners to like 9-to-5ers. And I was having a conversation with one of my clients that had a job, but that has been asking me for years about this class that I've invited her to consecutively every year. And she'll watch 1 or 2 classes every year, but she never follows through. And she always asks me about fear and like, but I got this good job and I got this family and I got all this stuff. And like, what if I try it and I fail? And I'm like, you just fail and you move on. And like, in my head, it makes me think about, like, I know we all deal with some level of scarcity and everybody's scarcity is different, but like, how do you like shock that shit out of somebody so that they accept failure as part of the process?
Oh yeah, that's a good question, and it's answerable, which means all humans operate very basic. There's some very basic parts of us in terms of how we operate and move. Contrary to popular opinion, we're not carnivores, we're herbivores, meaning we're herd animals. So we respond with the herd naturally. So there's a carrot and a stick. So there's a carrot and a stick. Most of us are blindly guided by both of those things, by our desires to gain pleasure and our fear of pain. It's it. It's simple. Really fucking simple at the end of the day. So most of us move from those two. Most people operate from those two places. Purpose-driven people, you'll see they operate differently. They don't operate from pleasure and pain as much. They move through purpose. That's a higher vibration. So when you look at brother like Nana, that's purpose-driven. So he moves different, meaning you can put pleasure, temptation in front of somebody who's purpose-driven, and as much as their body wants it, because they're purpose-driven, they'll move it out the way. Because they're living in their purpose, right? But again, most of us operate pleasure, pain. You can manipulate the world playing in those two games, pleasure, pain. The need to gain pleasure, desire to avoid pain. Now, most of us operate more on the the need to avoid pain side more than pleasure. And that's where this lady's stuck. So if I was to say, think about all the great things that you could achieve if you did become successful. Some people is like they can visualize that, they can feel that, but most people really respond to, all right, cool then. You hate your situation, you hate your job. Oh, you got a good job, but you don't want to be there because you don't want to be there. But in your mind, you have your sights set on a bigger horizon, a bigger life. But your job is safe. Look at yourself 5 years from now on that same job. You're still there. How does that feel? Still there, still wishing you would quit your job, still an entrepreneur. How does that weigh down on you? How do you feel? You feel more alive or you feel less alive? You feel you having more fun or you having less fun? You look older or you look younger? You look younger or you look older? Once you start painting pictures of what it looks like for them on the pain side, okay, now let's do this. Let's go 10 years down. Now you've been in that spot 10 more years. You wanted to be an entrepreneur, but you're still scary as fuck for another 10 years. How do you feel? How do you feel about yourself? When you look at the mirror, what do you tell yourself? God. Then when that pain gets to a certain threshold, most people, when the pain hits a certain threshold, they've had it. It's the same exact situation when that person looks at that picture of themselves and they're like, fuck, how did I gain this much weight? All right, I've had it. Those are called thresholds. That's how you move your thresholds, is by creating more reasons to hit your goal. Listen, that's where relative and absolute truth can come into play, and you can use relative truth to your advantage. To create a narrative or story to motivate you, to get you going, to get you at least to jump off the cliff, or to create strategy, or to ready, fire, aim, or to make moves. That's now there's all kind of psychological variables above that once you decide to make that move, but it's pleasure and pain at the very core. Most of us, why'd you do that? Why did you do that? Either because that shit felt good, or you was running from something because you was afraid. Now, if you're making up shit in your head, a lot of times you create false narratives. I'm not afraid of nothing. No, I ain't afraid of him. I did it because, I'm not trying to go to jail. No, you did it because you scary as fuck. But that's the answer. Next slide.
Hey, before we go next slide, I have a dope question. Cherie said, so how do I save me from myself?
Oh, my God. Oh, that's a beautiful question. First answer is two things. Two things to start. One is self-forgiveness. Forgive yourself for whatever it is that you feel is deficient in you. Forgive yourself. Three. Forgive yourself. Second, accept who you are. Self-acceptance. Then once you accept yourself, then you realize you don't have to save yourself from anything because I accept myself. So then you can move to the third, and that's self-love. Self-acceptance, self-forgiveness, then self-love. Then not only have you saved yourself, you just powered yourself up completely. You just set yourself up for complete success because now you're moving with confidence. Why do I, like, daily practice in the morning? What do I love about myself? What's 5 things that I love about myself? Man, I start crying up here to keep it 100. What do I love about myself? You don't gotta be, I'm this, I'm that. No, think about what you've gone through in life and how you've been resilient through it. Think about the barriers that's been placed in front of you that you've overcame. Think about like who you are, your integrity, how you stood as a person. Like think about why you love. Now you're a person that you could kick it with. It's beyond, now you're beyond saving. Now you have value that you can add to this world. Yeah. Next slide. Go.
Before we go to the next slide, I just wanted to say, if you approach your journey from a space of trying to save yourself, you're probably telling yourself a story that you're not good enough. And if you're telling yourself that you're not good enough, no matter what you try to do, it's going to be from a faulty lens. And so the things that you do, you're building them on a shaky foundation. And from experience, like when I first met Cortland, he first started coming around. Remember, he asked me what I loved about myself, and all of the surface level superficial shit came to my head. And I was like, well, you know, I'm cute and I'm smart and I'm athletic. I got a nice body. And I couldn't get past the surface. And so Court challenged me for a month to just like go in the mirror and like tell myself that I loved myself and like list things that I couldn't keep eye contact with myself. Like to save my life. It was so uncomfortable. And it was because I had this belief that I wasn't good enough or that I was unfixable and that I had to save myself from myself or I had to fix myself. And my number one thing that I would say is, but I'm trying. And I 100% was trying to change, but I was trying to change because of lack of, instead of celebrating myself for all the dope ass shit that I overcame and survived and show up in the way that I love on people. And when I started changing, instead of trying to hero myself, like treating myself the way I treat my daughter or my goddaughter or the people that like I see and I'm just like, man, let me just love on you because you're deserving of love. And then everything I did outside of that was like magnified because it wasn't from a space of trying to save myself from myself, but what opportunities did I have for growth that would make my life better?
Yeah. You're good. You're good enough. You're good enough. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You're powerful. You are. Straight up. Yeah, you are. Josh. like that's the self-love part that we have to get to. But it's hard to do that if we don't accept ourselves. It's hard to do that if we don't forgive ourselves for whatever. For whatever. The thing is, what I like about certain religious beliefs, what I like about Christianity, the dope thing that's in Christianity is that scripture in the Bible where self-forgiveness is easy. It's not a process. Jesus was dying, dude next to him was dying. He was like, oh, you Jesus, right? Yeah, hey, can I be good? He's like, yeah, you good. Don't worry, you straight. He didn't have to go throw water behind his back. He didn't have to go change his life around. He had already did all the bad shit his whole life. So he got to do all the bad shit. And he was getting punished for it. So logic says, no, you right where you're supposed to be. You did the bad shit, you got caught, you get punished. But right before he died, he got to be in the good book, just based on the synchronicity of dying next to Jesus. That's what you got to do to yourself. That's what you got to do to yourself. None of us are perfect, and we ain't supposed to be. None of us have shit in our closets and our dark sides that we are not proud of, that we ain't letting out. It's just the truth. Don't make you a bad person. Stop feeling guilty for that shit. Stop feeling guilt. Some of us have made mistakes, or some of it isn't even the shadow stuff. Some of it is our parents put so much pressure on us to be a certain way, and if we didn't live up to those expectations, then we forever punishing ourselves for it. You don't owe your parents shit. You owe you to be the best version of you that you can be. Whatever that is. My mom used to always, because I used to blame, like, look, I'm from you put me in this fucked up situation, neighborhood, schools, who I'm gonna hang around? But only the people in this apartment complex. Like, it ain't like, because my behavior was this and that. My 5 friends are the people in this hood-ass apartment complex. So she would bring up this one example of a family friend in San Francisco. And they lived in Hunters Point. And she would take me over there, and this dude was so holier than thou and like spiritual. You ever watched that the skits of that little one boy with the glasses, and he's like, I had some felines on, and they were making fun of me for felines, and so I said, stop being material. This kid was the version of that, right? So my mom would always be like, see, they live in the hood, they live in Hunters Point. How come you can't be more like him? And she will always hit me with that. You can't be like him, be like him. And she will always rant and rave about this dude. He ended up being a dope fiend. Because it don't, like, you can't compare people's journeys. You just may happen to be further down or further up than somebody on a journey that's continuing to grow. So I may be talking shit about you because I'm up here and you down here, but you just getting started on your journey. And I may hit a subconscious belief that's a blind spot that I can't figure out and be stuck on the side of the road. Car won't start. And I can't figure out what it is. And you just plugging right along, and now you pass. So stop comparing and be kind and loving to yourself, because you only got one you. And like we said, people can smell fear. People can smell, well, the crowd can also smell confidence and self-love and self-acceptance. Oh man, they love being around people like that. You're the life of the party. Everybody wants to kick it with you because they won't feel judged. They're going to feel that positive energy, and they're going to feel better than they did when they came up to you. That's the move. That's how you want to be. So, yeah. Oh, look at what we got here. Next slide. Oh, okay. I was getting ahead of myself. Go ahead.
How our beliefs influence others. We create models of reality about behaviors of our spouses, lovers, bosses, employees, children. But as the research shows, our beliefs influence how others respond to us. How much of the irritating or negative characteristics you see in others is really a belief you're projecting onto them?
I didn't know you were this nice because I thought you were stuck up. Right? A lot of times we project our beliefs on other people, and that creates our world. The beliefs that you project on others and how the way the world is supposed to work, it ends up creating the world you live in. Period. Like I said last week, it's like, why did I had a behavior around white people that I created when I was a teenager, and I moved to Fairfield. And I had negative experiences, racism, this and that. So my brain said, all people are like that. All white people are like that. So my ego says, I got to beat it because my self-esteem is low, I got to be rude to them before they hurt my feelings. So after the first, when you're a young black boy, you cute. You cute to everybody. You cute to all cultures. Everybody comes up to you and tell you how cute you are. Once you hit like 13, 14, you start walking down the street and people start going the other way, or they walk across the street or clutching the purse. Then you're like, what the fuck happened to me? Am I turned into a monster now? That's when you get in tune with like the culturescape and how people perceive you and your blackness as a black boy. So my ego says, I'm going to beat that from the gate. I'm just going to be rude first. You, I don't even acknowledge you. I don't even look at you. So even as I outgrew that consciously, subconsciously, that still was there. It wasn't until I start flying out to other places, with Nana going to Seattle, going to other cities, where I'm working on just being open and talking, and I realized, damn, that person's hella nice. That person was hella cool. That's because that wasn't the reality. That was my reality that I projected upon other people. And guess what? When you project your reality on other people, you get back what you project. So it reaffirms and validates those false beliefs. The media has a lot of us fucked up to where that's why you can't be mad at cultures for how they perceive us, because all they see in the media is that. And sometimes they don't have the consciousness or the emotional agility to step outside that culturescape, because the news is the authority. So if the news is the authority, that's who tells us how to think, believe, and behave. So understand that. Now, the beauty of this is you can flip it around and create your own mode of reality. Have you ever been around somebody who just lives in their own world and they just live in this blissful world? Almost like you ain't never had nothing bad happen to you, huh? Sometimes they've had horrible shit happen, but they learn how to create the world around them and they move in it. And they can go up to a monster and the monster gets weak to them because they're so affirmed in their belief that the monster doesn't respond to them how they will respond to you. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? My mom was sort of like that. She was uber church, uber God, uber spiritual. And she would talk to anybody about the Bible. Anybody. And it'd be like partners on the corner, known killers, dope dealer killers, goons. And she'd walk up to him and be like, baby, pull your pants up. Now, I know if your mama was here, she would. I'm like, Mom, will you shut the fuck up? He got bodies. And she'd tell him to pull his pants up, and he'd pull them up and be like, yes, Miss Barbara. Walk her to the house. Because she lived in that bubble. And her belief was firm in that bubble. So a lot of the mistreatment we get, A lot of the layers on down of things that we get, we sort of expected it because that was our belief. See, that's what he did that to. The white man did that to me because he racist. Man, that particular brother ain't even thinking about you like that. He ain't even thinking about you like that. Matter of fact, he's more on your side than a lot. You just didn't show up. And if you operate from that perspective, that people are good and good comes to you in a place of optimism, and that everybody that's in your space is for your ultimate good, then you move different, you treat people different. Next slide. This is the one I was talking about. Charisse.
Ways to start rewiring your models of reality. 1, practicing daily self-love. 2, daily gratitude.
So this is part of the how. We've been talking about a lot about the what, right? And we've given some game on the how. So this is a clear how. So how could we solve so much of the emotional trauma, baggage, beliefs that holds us back from our success, that holds us back for our happiness? Is these two things? Practicing daily self-love. Daily self-love, what does that mean? Exactly what we talked about 2 slides ago. Learning how to love yourself. This is you getting into a relationship with you again. I have a question. Be honest. Do you love yourself? Do you love yourself? Thank you for your honesty. Do you love yourself? Answer it honestly. Because that's absolute truth, right? If you can get absolutely truthful with yourself, then that's how you can grow.
Okay, vulnerable moment. What do you say to someone that says, like, so for me, like, on the surface, I say, yeah, I love myself, because I do. But then when you asked it the second time, I was like, you know what? The actual truth is I love parts of myself. How do you fall in love with the parts that you don't love about yourself?
Step 2 that we talked about earlier. Remember the 3? Remember the 3? What are they? Can you recall them? Self-acceptance. So forgive yourself for the parts of you that you think fall short. Shit, I know where I'm raw, and I know where I'm in the slow class, and I love all of it. I love every single ounce of myself, even the slow class parts. Period. So that's accepting myself. So you got to first accept yourself. Now, so you got to forgive yourself. So it's forgiveness, acceptance, that will get you in a space where you can look at yourself and be like, man, I love you. And you won't look away. You don't feel no type of weirdness, and your body resonates with that. Saying the words, I love you, has a super high vibration. Love has a high vibration. High vibration. Like, there's scientific facts, there's scientific data on that. I don't know if you guys ever watched the experiment where he did with water, where he said he spoke different words into water. I hate you, I love you, you're stupid. Played heavy metal music, played death metal, played hip hop. And then he looked in each one of those plates of water under the microscope, and they all had completely different crystallization. And the I love yous were perfect. The water was perfect and blue. The I hate you was milky and weird, and the formation was weird. Powerful. So when you say to yourself, I love you, that's a resonation, that's a vibration. That's healing. Now, if you say I love you to yourself in your subconscious mind, or that voice pops up and say, bullshit, I don't love myself. Then you go back to step 1 and 2. What do I need to forgive myself about? Where do I think that I'm falling short to where I can't forgive myself? What is it about myself that I don't accept? What don't I accept? Learn to love all your parts, the dark ones, the light ones, everything, because that makes you you. And I don't let nobody demonize my shit. Fuck you. This is me. This is how I am. This is who I'm built. This is my likes, dislikes. This is my shadows. This is everything. And I love all of it. Now, that still gives me permission to want to grow and improve and get better, but I still accept myself where I am. And accepting yourself does not make you get stagnant or comfortable or anything like. Don't think, well, if I do that, I'm gonna get comfortable. No, because if you're in a constant state of growth and improvement, you're always trying to upgrade your software. Always. Every time you're always looking to upgrade your software. So that's the rhythm that you're in. That's a given. But I love you love the hell out of yourself. Look at you. Like, A, the fact that you were born out of millions and millions, you were born. Then B, you survived through all the shit and all the trauma and everything you've been through and all the expectations and the racism and the bigotry and the systematic racism. And you here. Not only are you here, you're performing at a high level. You perform at a high level in life. And you're seeking and growing and wanting more. You got courage. So wherever you are, whatever your shadows are, learn to embrace and love it all.
Can I add to that? I think what also helps.
Yes, you can add to that.
Sorry about that. I think just to add to that, what also help with self-love, and this goes back to your original thing about the approval, is not comparing yourself to anybody else. I know, like when you first asked the question, I was like, hell yeah. And I think I could positively 1,000% say that shit now, because I know before, the old me, I was comparing myself to what I thought, the perfect person was. So I wasn't in love with myself, but I 100% love myself like a motherfucker, because I stopped comparing myself to other people. Because I know.
Did you just kiss both your wrists? Okay.
I love myself.
Oh, man.
Because I know that when I do go, the creator ain't gonna say, oh man, you wasn't the best Court Smith you could have been. No, it's gonna be, was you the best Tone Vic you could have been? And that shit really helps me with loving myself when I stopped comparing myself to other people. Like, you right, I am who I am. I'm Tone Vic, I'm not Court, I'm not Nana, I'm not, so forth and so on. I'm me. And that shit really, really helped me accept myself, forgive my shit, and continue to keep striving to be the best.
Wait a minute, can we open that up a little bit? I think we should open that one up, because that's one where, Court, you can't tell me as well as I can't tell you that we don't compare ourselves to others, right? But I think that goes back to that sense of reality on what is actually compatible. I mean, what can you honestly compare, right? And going back to, I think what Court you said earlier about projections, is when you start doing a comparing thing, are you projecting things onto others? So are you creating this big, powerful person when he's just a normal person just like you? And so I think comparisons is closer to our human nature, and I don't think we even have an option to turn that off. If you look at just the overall social intelligence, principles around social intelligence, I'm not sure we can turn it off. I think we have to clean that system up so it doesn't become, we don't victimize ourselves by it. And part of self-acceptance is, I think we tell ourselves the story where we're supposed to be. So as we climb the ladder of 144 levels, if you're on level 7, I'm on level 35, you forget, you don't take in consideration that I've been working on it for 10 years. And so then when you make that comparison, your relativity is off because you're comparing who you are right now to my 35-year journey. So if you looked around and saw other 7-year-old investments, or people who matched your level of investments, and you were honest about your investments, and truly honest about how you're showing up to your investments, which is, what is my input based upon my expected output? And if your input is 1 and my input is 10, then why are you comparing yourself to me? If you want to compare yourself to me and you're putting in 15 and I'm getting 5, that's still an opportunity to learn something about yourself and even your strategy of your input. So there's a lot of distortions in that statement, and comparisons, I think, is actually healthy, right? Because if we didn't compare, we could be easily complacent.
Okay, so
Wait.
so hold on.
Wait.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
So let me clarify too, is that if you have a healthy, we're talking about healthy relationships with reality. We're having a healthy relationship with absolute truth. So coming from a frame of a healthy relationship with absolute truth and healthy relationship with relative truth and a healthy emotional state, meaning you love yourself. So say you have those 3 things. Is a possibility you may use comparison as a data point. But a person who has a distorted view of absolute truth and relative truth, meaning a distorted view of reality, and they have low self-esteem, and somebody comes driving past and they look to the right in comparison, it has 2 totally different effects. Meaning, 1, you're going to get depressed. You're going to get down on yourself, and you're going to be like, what's wrong with me? So at your state, I think there's an end to this. If you ain't ready to use comparison in a way that's healthy for you, man, like, it may be damaging for you. If you are ready, like, if you're in a state to where, I remember one time when I started my business, I was making 10 grand a month. I'm juiced, 10 grand a month in business. And I'm working out with a brother, and he's like, hey, so let's talk numbers, like, what you doing? I'm like, 10K a month. And he was like, yo, hey, I'm gonna give you my number. Cause shit, like, oh, fuck, you should be making way more than that. Like, all right, let me give you my number, man, let's hook up. Cause I can help you. Fucked me up. Because in my mind, 10K a month was like the pinnacle number, right? So in that regard, that comparison it expanded my capacity. My upper limit changed after that. It changed. But it all depends, like, so it's how you use it. It's how you use it. There's so much of you that you have to build up. Some things will crush you looking to the right or left because you don't love yourself. So it's like you ain't forgive yourself, or you don't accept yourself. So anything outside of yourself in this moment will crush you. Versus like the comparisons won't change, is how healthy you are.
Can I have like 4 minutes? Because I really wanted to ask you a question about when you first asked, do you love yourself? And there was like a awkward pause because people were not sure if they could answer that confidently, right? And then it was like, hell yeah, like I absolutely do, or in some instances, right? Someone asked online, they said, what are some practices to self-love?
Okay. Oh,
But
you still going?
I had a question I wanted to add on to that. My first question is, when did you know that you loved yourself? When did you know that? for yourself?
Good question. All right. So my first wave of entrepreneurship, and I hit the success. My identity was completely tied to my assets, my money, my material shit, my cars, my house, my flossing. You'd be fucking surprised to see. You'd laugh at me, like the big ass chains, the whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because my identity was tied to my material. Period. You couldn't tell me, like, I started off as a hustler, hustling whatever to survive. I decided I wasn't going to be broke at a super young age. 7th grade, I said, Mom, you ain't got to buy me school clothes or lunch money no more. I got it. So I've had money in my pocket since then. Hustle, selling whatever. Anything I can sell, I sell. So my goal was to, every day at school, have more money at the end of school than when I started. So imagine having that mentality. Of course, you get your money gets tied to your identity, because everybody knew Courtney the hustler. Courtney's a hustler. That boy a hustler. So then, when the hype cycle started, big money. So now I'm really, my identity, it magnifies. Money's a magnifier, right? Let's talk the crash. It's gone. I almost went into a depression because I lost my identity. I lost who I was. I had been this kid for years, and now I lost my identity. So, of course, there was no self-love. It was because I tied the two together. So it wasn't until I didn't have it that I had to look myself in the mirror and say, who are you? And it started with my spiritual journey. So my spiritual journey is what started the process for me of loving myself. And I think it was necessary for me to be in a space with myself with nothing, no money, so then I saw the world unfold to say, shit. Slowly I start realizing, you're dope, Court. You ain't even got a car. No car, no money, you on EBT, but you're dope. Like, in my brain, the women that I was attracted to and I was attracted to me was because I had all the big shit. And it didn't stop the level that I was at. The same type of females I still attracted with no money. So I'm like, damn, so maybe it's not the money. Maybe it's me. And it was like, yeah, motherfucker, it's you. And so slowly those things started giving me reminders that it's not material shit, it's what's inside. And then I learned this practice. Slowly, self-love. Somebody taught me. I got therapy. And they said, every morning, Court, I want you to look in the mirror, stare at yourself in the mirror, and say 5 things you love about yourself. That's it. It's not complicated. It's not a fucking dissertation, not a PhD or coding complicated shit. That's all I want you to do. I'm paying you this much an hour, and that's what you want me to go home and do? Yes. And just like Shakina, I stare in the mirror, and I couldn't look at myself. I start crying. Straight up like a little baby. Until I got one out. And then once you get one out, you got the second one. You know what else I love about this? You know what else I love about you? This. And soon, all your brain needs is reasons. That's how your brain justifies action, beliefs, activity. It needs reasons. So when you say not just I love you, but why? Here's 5 reasons why. Your brain doubles down on itself. And now it affirms it. And now it knows it. So the next morning when you say I love you, your subconscious mind and your conscious mind says, yeah, I know, because, yeah, this, and this. So that's why you get in the practice of doing it. It's simple. Daily practice. So then I'm not crying, I'm not teary-eyed, I'm juiced. And now I like me. And guess what happens when I like me? I walk out into the world and people like me too. Didn't matter I didn't have the fly shit on no more. I didn't have the nicest shoes, the chains. I didn't have nothing. T-shirts and jeans, and I had nothing. But still, people treated me with that same kind of energy because I like myself.
And then can you just clarify the difference between seeing an aspect of yourself that you want to change? How is that not loving yourself?
No. Remember, self-acceptance. Let's go back to self-acceptance. Humans, our whole purpose in life is to grow. You're either growing or you're dying. So what we do is an aspect of growth. So you're growing within everything in your blind spot. And as you become aware of blind spots that now come in front of you, that allows you to get better. And now it creates an opportunity for growth. What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? So an intense desire to grow doesn't detract from your acceptance of yourself. Because if I fail in that moment or I catch an L, it's nothing. I laugh. What's the new strategy tomorrow? Let's get better. Let's do this again tomorrow. Versus I'm a failure. I'm horrible. See, that's why I'm no good. And you start affirming negative affirmations about yourself. It's the real. So, daily self-love practice. Now, this is a way to rewire your model of reality. You'll be surprised how powerful this is a week from now. Just a week. Every morning, what's 5 things you love about yourself? What's 5 things you love about yourself? Kaja. Give Kaja the mic. What's one thing you love about yourself, Kaja?
I'm really generous.
That's amazing. So the butterfly effect of being generous means you leave this world a better place than when you got here. Mm-hmm. The world needs you.
And I don't feel lack because I give.
I love that about you.
Thank you.
What's the second thing you love about yourself?
I have a really good vocabulary.
You got a mouthpiece.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Can you think of a third?
I can relate to people's shortcomings even if I don't like them.
Empathy.
Empathetic.
So you're a giver, you're empathetic, and you're a great communicator. You're a dope-ass sister right there.
Thank you.
How do you feel anything by saying that?
Yeah, I think they're all assets. I can definitely see where they work for me. Sometimes I can even see where I won't say against, like I'll throw up air quotes for that. I can see where they work against me, but it's the yin and yang. They'll bring some positivity and they'll bring some other things, and it just balances itself out.
Every morning, can we agree? Every morning, 7 days. Just try it. Don't work, throw it out the window. But every morning, when you brushing your teeth, you got to look at your motherfucking self anyway. Every morning when you're brushing your teeth, those perfect teeth, then what's 5 things you love about yourself? If you get through the 5 quickly, go to 10. Every morning. And just see what your life feels like. Even if at minimum there's a little bit more of a pep in your step. To, like you were talking about, things around you just starts, like the world responds to you different. Yeah. That's the practice. Second thing, daily gratitude. Always, I just have it part of my morning routine to get into call it attitude of gratitude, where I think about all the things that I'm grateful for. That resets you. That way it's hard. it's hard to be down on yourself. It's hard to feel lack. It's hard to feel like you're not good enough when you purged your brain and just filled it with things you're grateful for. It just is. When you start the day with gratitude, 99, from what I know, most of us, 99% of us walk. We got legs that can walk wherever we want. That's a freedom sometimes you take for granted. You got eyes that can see. You're healthy enough to move. You got people around you that love you. You got a roof over your head. You listening to this on a computer or a television right now, which means you have amenities and luxuries that 70, 80% of the world can't even fathom. We overlook that shit. It's easy to overlook the privilege that we have. So when you add gratitude to your daily routine, it creates a rhythm for you that rewires your brain literally. I got a beautiful view of Oakland from my house. Beautiful. When I first moved there, I'd sit there and just look at the view. I could look from San Leandro to San Francisco, and my daughter and my girl, we were just like, wow, this is amazing. Guess what? When was the last time I did that? When the last time I did that? You take shit for granted so easy. So sometimes I have to force myself again to put myself back in that place of gratitude and be like, damn, it's beautiful. Look at the sky. Look at the sun. Look at this person who deals with me every day and rocks with me. Because you could take it for granted a lot. So when you remind yourself, I'm grateful for this person. I'm grateful for my son or daughter. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. Then your connections, you rewire all your connections with other people too. These two things changed my life. Were part of the overall change of my life. And I've been doing this daily gratitude. So just so I'm not preaching it, and I've been doing this daily gratitude. I won't say this. I do the self-love as needed. It's maintenance. But the daily gratitude, I do it every fucking morning. Since 2007. Every morning. I sit there, unless I'm slipping or I'm tripping or I'm not on my routines and rhythms like I'm supposed to, which typically could be a week, sometimes 2 weeks. But every day, I think about what I'm grateful for. So the minute it stops working, like, the reason why I continue to do it for 13, 14 years, because it works for me. So I would add it, try it. Those two things in the morning. What do you love about yourself, and what are you grateful for? We are alive. We're healthy relatively. That Rona didn't get you, it didn't knock your ass out. And we have plenty of relatives, friends, family members who aren't here anymore because of that disease. And you are. Like, it's so much stuff to be grateful for. It's so much stuff to be grateful for. The opportunity that we have with this class, man, we don't realize it. If I called Nana for all the time just to say thank you, he'd be like, motherfucker, stop calling me. Because certain things that I've learned in this class show up in my day-to-day. And I can mitigate shit, put fires out, or expand, or multiply something, or win based on something that I've learned in this class or a book that I've read that I've been referred to. Man, that will bring, so I do my daily gratitude until I get teary-eyed, till I get emotional. I've made tens of thousands, 50,000s off game in this class. I almost want to say a lot of my, what helped me survive through COVID was gained from this class. The gratitude I have for this class made me millions. Millions. You can check my taxes, like millions. And I learned it here. I learned it here. And it came from being a giver. I didn't come here asking for nothing. I came to give. Like, how can I contribute? Nana, what's up? I didn't know him from Adam. What's up? I feel you. Look, like, let's get down. Like, how can I add some value? I'm trying to add value as part of my giving. It ended up giving back to me. Telling you, those two things you add to your routine. Most of us got too much ego. We too cool. We too cool. Too much ego. That's too easy. I need something intellectual. That's too simple. Being a black belt is 8 moves. It's 8 moves, motherfucker. 8 moves. That's it. Teach me something new. Learn them 8 moves, or you're going to get your ass whooped. You can still get your ass whooped. But most of us are always trying to seek to teach me something new that you're not learning the basic. These 2 daily practices are life-changing. 7 days. So this is the homework. Next week, I want to hear it. I want to hear it all. Your truth. Whatever your truth is about it, relative or absolute, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. I want to hear if 7 days, every morning, you add this to your routine. You brushing your teeth. What are 5 to 10 things you love about yourself, and what's everything you're grateful for? What's all the things you're grateful for? And go until you run out of shit. It's like these are easy game changers, and it's so easy that they get overlooked. Like especially the periods of time when I'm going through it with my sons, and I'm irritated. I can't, like, I want to punch my own son in the face, like he get on my nerves right now. But then it only lasts until that next morning, because then I think about all the things that I'm grateful for about him, and it starts it over. Because as I be irritated, there's a time where there's deep spaces of depression that I was in my life, and just meet those boys, their presence helped me out of that. So those 2 things, all right? We good? We, like, a deal? Everybody online? Yes? Yep. We got a question in the back. Oh, okay. You good? Okay. Everybody online? I see you. Motherfucker. Yes. Agreed. It's a deal. Let's move on. So, untapped power of the mind. The untapped power. Again, there's so much that it's going to be quick. So much that we don't know about how the brain works, how our minds work. Our brains are so powerful. Our minds are so powerful, and it's so much that we don't know. There's bits and pieces all over the place that have used the power of our brains and our mind in ways that allow us to be way bigger. That's why I say, if you just add the power of purpose into a brain, it operates different. If you ever seen a mama bear in action protecting her cubs, I'm talking the human ones. They different. It's a different animal. Where is that? Where does that come from? Men's ability, their purpose driven, their internal desire to protect and provide. Like, our brains are way more powerful than we use them, but most of us use them for survival. The stick. None of us use them. A lot of us don't use them to thrive. The carrot, to make a better life for ourselves. So it's just an empty ass desert on the carrot side. You want to have fun sometimes. Or you see somebody that you're in competition with. You didn't want it before, but you see somebody else have it, and now you want it. Because you're competing. Run your own race. And this is why your desires may be different from yours. Your success may be different from your success. So you got to be clear. But your brain, once you set an intention, and you clear, and you honest, and you're truthful, now you and your brain and your mind and your spirit have a shared goal, and you be surprised the amazing things that can happen. Move on.
Extraordinary minds have models of reality that empower them to feel good about themselves and powerful in shifting the world to match the visions in their minds.
So we talked about this. Let's go on to the next one.
Is my model of reality absolute or relative truth? Is there an aspect of your culture you know is relative truth for the greater part of humanity? If you still enjoy believing it, do so. But if it's harmful or results in you having to dress in a certain way, marry in a certain way, or restrict your diet or life in a way you dislike, you owe it to yourself to abandon it. Rules are made to be broken.
So here's a key word. You owe it to yourself to abandon it. Think about it. If you view your body as a temple, you view your body as a temple and precious because you accept yourself, you love yourself. You love yourself. So you take a baby, a newborn baby, you love that baby, don't you? You see all possibility in it. You go find this kind of formula and these kind of diapers and these kind of threads on its body, and you give it this kind of information. You find your baby can talk. You spend the money on all this expensive shit to give your baby the best opportunity to grow and be the best version of itself. Is that correct? Right? When a baby's born, it's like your vision of that baby's future, you're going to set it up as best as possible. What if you thought of yourself in that way? What if you thought of yourself in that way? What you feed yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, because you are that baby. A lot of times, we're willing to harm ourselves, hurt ourselves. Or if we've already been tainted by some pain or hurt, we think it's a wrap. We throw away. Not realizing that we're humans. That means we can reinvent who we are today. All we have to do is throw the rule in the garbage. We don't have to marry any of the rules that we have. We could divorce them all. Now, here's the beauty of it. It doesn't have to be truth. It could be relative or absolute. The key is, does it work for you? Does it work for you to believe this way? If you stand on your head and you throw salt over your shoulders in the morning, but you living your best fucking life and you're happy and in your version of success, keep throwing it over your shoulder. Because that's your belief and it works for you. The minute you question it is that where you are and where you want to be is a gap, and you don't see progress. And you've been going after it for a minute, and you don't see progress. You see stagnation, or you're going the other way. You got to change it. Throw it away. Done. Over. Why? Gone. Bye. That's how you got to feel. You're not loyal to any of them. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. Next slide.
Keep up with my notes in the reading, man. Remember that no single culture or religion dominates the majority of the planet today. No major religion holds sway over the majority of the human population. Know that whatever your culture trained you to believe, the vast majority of human beings probably do not believe it. And you can choose to disbelieve too. The power to choose what we want to believe and what we want to disbelieve is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves.
Yo, so a lot of times we get stuck with the notion that our beliefs, our truths, everything that's in our sphere of Culturescape is the world believes it. That's everybody. Or that's the truth. No, it's your truth inside your little ass bubble. Your religious belief that you hold firm to, that you're willing to die for, most of the world don't even believe it. And this might be the first time some of you guys ever read this. You mean the world don't believe? The world ain't Christian? No. No. That's you. That's your group. And guess what? Inside the Christian religion, there's thousands of different kind of Christians that funk with each other. Sorry to be using funk, but that's the word that's in my head. That don't like each other within Christianity. So you take a Protestant and a Catholic or a Baptist, they don't fool with each other like that. So there's different sects within even those religions. That's your small bubble. That's your small bubble. All your beliefs about relationships. A lot of us are single or don't have love relationships because we have this small set of rules of things that have to be for it to be a good relationship. And if it's not that thing, it's bad. It's wrong.
Hey, so I thought you just finished. Go ahead. Online.
Yeah. There's so many different types of relationships, love relationships, that in your brain you might be like, hell no, I ain't doing that. But those people are happy. It works for them. Our culture in America, our brains and minds have been opened up to all different types of relationship types. And our brain, sometimes we think this is the only right one. This works. This is the only one that works. This kind of marriage works. Well, the percentages of marriage that last are in the 40% right now, aren't they? 40% of marriages, 60% of marriages in a divorce. So that means nobody got it 100% figured out, even the traditional shit. So who are you to judge two women or two men or a man and two women or two women and one man? Who are you to judge that? It's about what works. So when Vishen was talking about drinking that stuff that the women made their version of water, it was kind of like a beer. Like, I want to throw up in my mouth too. But that's because my Culturescape allows me to drink this. But if I had to live there, sure. Question.
I think this is kind of important. What I'm trying to nudge, and I'm getting some responses back, is nudges away from self-care narcissism and fragility from life is all about me, right? Which is kind of a extension of individualism. What I'm concerned about, and I think you mentioned it, but I think the two has to be tied together, is self-love without purpose. Also, how does self-love look for wolves as opposed to dogs? Because as we know, there's a whole industry out there of people around pampering, licking their wounds, and oh my God, and I need more love, I need more massages, I need more care, I need more time by myself. I've seen people get caught in that vicious loop of just crying and breaking down, and they revisit, and they don't really change that space. And they kind of use self-love as a new crutch. And so they can be in the mirror every day crying, and then they say, oh, I love myself, and then break 2 weeks later, and they're back in the mirror again crying and questioning they really love themselves the last time. And now they having mating relationship arguments with themselves. You don't really care. I mean, so if we can kind of like calibrate it a little bit so it doesn't stay, because people that come to this class, a lot of them are coming from the institution of they're not coming from rich entrepreneur spaces. So a lot of times the interpretation of self-love is different, from a different perspective. So if you can put some levels to it and some shaping around it, some standards around it, so it doesn't get stuck in the self-love narcissism.
I'll say this. So this is where it becomes complex. When it comes to emotions and where we've all been, there's only one you, and you've only been through what you've been through. So I can't step in your space and be like, you're supposed to be doing this, you're not supposed to be doing that. You know. But we know the bottom is depression, right? Under the bottom, you ready to let yourself go. You ready to take it. You're just suicide. I've been down there too. I've been down there. I keep it 100 with y'all. And in today's society, because we're such a weaker society now, we're such a mentally atrophied society that self-care, self-love, emotions, all of that is the dominant voice of the day. So we talk way more about that shit than being tough. We talk way more about maybe he's depressed, maybe she's depressed, depression, self-love, all that. We talk way more about that, and then we create space for people to swim around in it more than being tough. And get your shit together and let's go. Clean up, jump in the shower, clean up, let's go. So there is a disparity in today's time because in the moment now we're a very emotionally fragile society. So but I can say this. Your goal is to always be improving every single day. Getting better every day. That's your goal. As a wolf, your job is to get better and improve every day. Whatever that means to you. I'll keep it 100. When I crashed and burned, 08, 09, crashed and burned. All the way down to the bottom of the emotional scale. If y'all know Esther and Jerry Hicks. Bottom of the emotional scale, I'm at depression, suicide. Took me 4 years. Took me 4 years of constant work, trying to build myself back, go back. And some of that is you take 10 steps forward and you're in bed. You take 2 more steps forward, you're in bed for a week. You make some progress, now you're in bed for 3 days. And a whole year's passed. You ain't feel like you ain't done nothing, but you ain't giving up. Maybe it's a whole month of being depressed, but you still working every day. You working out mentally. You reading the books. You doing this stuff. You're going through your gratitude. You're working on your self-love. You're reading. You hit some bumps. Damn, I've hit bumps that my personal development shit stopped working. Shit, I need to go get a therapist. And I got therapy. This lady don't know shit about my struggle. It's crazy when you tell your story and the therapist's eyes open wide and her mouth drop, you ain't the one. Move on. Let's find another one. Let's find another one. Till I found another one who was like, no, we gonna get through this shit. Good. Now, okay, cool, I got it. Now I can continue to work. She helped me uncover certain things within myself that I couldn't find. Now I can continue the journey on my own. I ain't got no shame in my game because the foundation that I laid, fuckers think, oh, you're so strong. I've been in those spaces where I was fucking laying that like I wanted to lay below the ground. Took me 4 years to get to a good starting point to where I'm like, okay, I'm my best self now, and I did all the shit. I put in the work, so I can't tell you whether yours is a year, 6 months, 4 years, 5 years, but you have to be in a space where if you're a wolf, it's progression. I've watched a lion try to attack. And he got his ass whooped, got gored. They whooped his ass, just trying to get away. But he ended up getting trampled. So he goes off and just sits underneath a tree and breathe heavy until he's in a space where he can move better now. And it took days. And then now he can go back over and he can get pampered, let somebody else go hunt, bring him food, and he eats leaves and other things that internally his body knows helps him heal better. And then when he gets to that space, like when he gets to that time to where he's back on his feet and he's ready to hunt again, not a day short. Not a day short. He's back. He in there. He ready. So the minute the light bulb went back in my head, I was like, ooh, I've been doing this work and now I feel good. It's been 7 days in a row. I've been in the gym all week. I've been in the gym all month. I've been in the gym all year. I'm good. I love myself. I've been doing all the work I put in now, I felt it solidifying. The woman I was with was a nurturer. She was her identity was by saving and nurturing and bringing people back to health mentally. So then I realized, man, we arguing a lot because I don't need you for that no more because I got myself now. So that's when our relationship crumbled because now she had no identity. I was like, oh shit, I know I'm good now. Cool. All right, well, I'm starting a company again. All right, let me go get my fictitious name going. Let me get this, let me get that. We back. I'm back in a hunt. Not a day less is what I'm saying. I don't know the time, but not a day less. And don't let the culture, don't be weighed and swayed by the culture of this world. Whatever they own, you ain't on that because you ain't in that culturescape. Whatever this world is on, oh, he's mansplaining or this or that or whatever the key words are for the day, or you're not on that because you're in your own bubble. In your bubble, you have values and morals, compasses that keep you always treating people good and in a state of giving, but you don't get swayed by no fad or no mental fad that's going on. I'm not teaching my daughter to be an independent woman. I'm not. I ain't teaching her to be an independent woman. I'm teaching her to be valuable, to have value, and to be a person that adds value to everybody around them. How you become valuable is you add value to those around you. Fuck that that's some bullshit. It's unnecessary in today's times. I'm teaching her to be valuable. So whether that's to another human being or to herself and to another human being, and to be of service. Go ahead. Yep.
Nana, you can give me the cut it signal if I start talking too long. But one of the things that, on self-love that I just wanted to share is in the hope space, the practice of self-love for me was learning that I didn't really understand how to receive love from other people, and that this space was actually really loving, even though it wasn't creating a lot of space for me to check out on myself, right? It wasn't giving me a lot of space to be down. It wasn't, it just wasn't, the space wasn't creating that. And when you talk about what is a practice of self-love, Hope gave me an immediate way to practice. And it was showing up to the version of me that y'all could see, but I couldn't see yet. And so the places of like, you don't need that, you can do this, and I'm not gonna create any space for that thing, this place where you came saying you can't, it's too hard, whatever. I'm actually not gonna give you that. I'm gonna say you're gonna do that, and I'm not even gonna listen when you start to go down this other place. I'm gonna direct you back to the things that are gonna nourish yourself so that you can strengthen yourself. And I did not understand, I really wanted to love myself, and I knew I didn't. And so I stayed with it. But not having a space, confronting that here was how I got to practice self-love. And it was every week. Every week, there was something I said or something that I had done, and then there was like, hey, you see this? That's not where we're going, go this way. Those were some really challenging moments, but they were moments that brought me back to myself and got me further away from this vision of myself as fragile and unable. And so what's been available to me here is to really actually understand that I didn't know what self-love was at all, and my concept of it was pretty distorted. And so the self-love started to mean coming the next week when I got very frustrated with you, or got very frustrated with Nana because of something that I didn't like, maybe what you said. Not that it was rude, it was like, you have to journal. Self-love for me was going to these other stairs. They do harder stairs now, but the first stairs that they used to do was going to the stairs and showing up to myself, even though physically I was very weak. And so, again, it was like, I was used to checking out on myself and giving myself a lot of excuses sometimes. Not all the time, but in certain areas, I would show up very strong in other places, but when it came to certain things, I would just avoid it, right? So the places that I was avoiding myself, Hope was the space that said, now you gotta see all of yourself. And I was like, I don't really wanna see those parts. I like these parts over here. But Hope was like, no, all of you. All of you, all of you. And we're gonna be here when it feels tough, but that was my self-love practice. It was like showing up to the parts of me that were like in the closet. I don't really touch that part, I don't go in that room, that's the junk drawer. I don't fuck with that. But Hope was like, no, we gonna bring it all out, and if you stick with us, we're gonna show you that it's all good. It's better than all good. It doesn't take anything away from your brilliance. It's not gonna feel like it doesn't take anything away from your brilliance. It's gonna feel like we're ripping everything away, but really what we're saying is all of you is all good. We believe that. We're going to be here with you and walk with you as you learn to believe that. Not saying that those days are not going to be challenging, because some of that stuff is really challenging. But between this space every week, whatever practices or readings or reflections or that damn journaling and all that stuff that you don't want to do, but that's where it is, you're going to learn how to love yourself, all of you, not just pieces of you. You're going to learn how to love your dark side. You're going to learn how to not avoid yourself. And that, through the willingness to learn that, for me, that is what self-love became. So that was just my experience of like self-love being much more of something that was constantly feeding me and growing me up, versus the kind of weird self-love that's in memes, that's like these weird affirmations, and it's really, really surface, right? Because it's like, do you love yourself when you're the moment where I judge myself because I can't make it up and down the stairs, right? That's hard. Can I love myself anyway and be like, no, you made it? Come back again and come back again. And so self-love for me showed up in the places instead of the judgment, or when there was judgment present, accepting myself in that and loving myself through that, loving myself enough to keep going. But I had to learn that that was actually love. Because at first I was like, I just don't want to go through the discomfort, so I'm going to just do something else. And it was like, no. Radically loving yourself is being with yourself in the places that you don't really want to see. But we're going to all be here in this community to rock with you. We're not going to rock with you when you want to check out on yourself. When you do that, we're going to tell you full of shit. So we're going to rock with you.
Can I add real quick? I think that's where I was trying to go, Court, is we're go to the end of the year, and I said, stop asking white people for value. White value is what you create for yourself, right? But we all knew that came with exercises. It wasn't, oh, I'm just valuable, or I'm just somebody. Like, imagine being at the bottom of a crackhead lifestyle. You can look in that mirror all you want, but until you change some patterns, it's going to be kind of self-defeating. And so at some point, you got to invest in yourself. You know, and like we talk about exercising. We talk about learning, practicing, growing, developing, having a purpose. If you remove your daughter from your conversation and you remove your sons from your conversation, you remove your love for black folks from conversation, I like to see what your self-love looks like. Right? Like you have a purpose. And that purpose helps you. It's almost like self-love is a direction, but the rope that you're climbing to help you get there, or what's helping you push yourself, is that purpose. That reason for living, right? Human beings need purpose. We need that outside purpose. Otherwise, we get into that Britney Spears, I call it the pop culture self-love, which is like, oh, I love you. You become kind of cartoonsy as we talk to each other. And I think going back to Shabisha's illustration, or her story, is that the way that we help people in our circle become stronger is by helping them invest in themselves to get that spark of value, to help to kind of give them something to cling to and hold on to, right? Where if you just, if you're drinking every week at the bar every week and you just running around and hit the streets every week, look at all the mirrors you want, but your habits are literally self-defeating. So there is a response. Self-love is, like you said, the shit you said earlier about getting tough. You gotta get your ass up and do some basic things. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. You may have it for a moment, you may have an epiphany, like, oh, I love myself, but then your life just beats you right back down to that space because you see yourself as a victim, or you see yourself as helpless, or you don't even see your possibilities. And I would also add that self-love comes from the people you surround yourself, because it's such a, self-love is almost arbitrary. It's almost subjective, because depending on who you're around, like you said, love is really fucked up in certain circles. So if you say self-love, it's kind of already fucked up. The word love is already distorted. So if you don't have people who's already kind of progressive, moving in the right direction, discovering self-love is very, very difficult. And so that's why, like, I think Vishen, at the core, is great points, but in the 7 years of watching this class, the people I think who crossed over into self-love, there was a purpose attachment to it, and there was self-investment attached to it. It wasn't just, like, you have to do what you suggested, which is get in the mirror. You have to be able to see yourself. But when you see yourself, you are not static. You're dynamic. You're always moving. Like, let's say you fall in love with the 22-year-old yourself. You're like, yeah, I love myself. What happens when you get them wrinkles and that the muscles fall off and that stomach is bigger than your chest, right? Do you still love yourself? Or have you made investments in yourself you could transition to, that your body is not the limitation or the superficial things that you built into that definition when using that mirror? So self-love is really a continuous investment. You never completely own it. You always have to invest in it.
Yep. I think we're approaching 10 o'clock, so we're gonna put this class to a hold. If we have any more questions, I wanted to hit one more slide, but we'll just hit it next week. Next week though, I'm gonna switch to. Oh no, classroom. So. Okay, it's last week in class. So after next week, just so we can get through the book a little faster, we just adjust the format. But this was important. One of the slides I want to hit was if you can go to the slide about, in order to improve your systems, you need R&D time. So you got to create space for yourself to tinker. You need R&D time. Because if we're moving in the space with the engineering mindset, then, and you're observing yourself and tweaking and making changes yourself, you need time for introspection, self-reflection, and growth. And you need to be able to tweak that. You need to be able to play. You need to try new ideas, new things. And if you don't have R&D time, where you take time to reflect, to improve, to grow, or to try new things, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. So that's an important one. Next week, we're going to go hard and finish these and keep going through the book so we can get through it and move on to the next. But we want to extract next month so we can extract all these nuggets. So that's it. So I guess I'll see you guys in March. Yeah, no class next week. No class next week. All right? I'll see y'all later.
Yeah.